This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Morning decisions. How about a creamy mocha frappuccino drink? Or sweet vanilla? Smooth caramel maybe? Or a white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Find Starbucks Frappuccino drinks wherever you buy your groceries.
So, faced with the question, where did they go next with this podcast? The guys were recently joined by legendary musical genius Bruce Dickerson, who's agreed to be the new producer of the Stack and Benjamin show. They were all excited to meet him.
Hey fellas, I'm Bruce Dickerson. Yes, the Bruce Dickerson. You have a dynamite sound, fantastic sound. I have only one suggestion. More cowbell.
Live from Joe's mom's basement, it's the Stacking Benjamin Show. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. Today, in honor of next week's Independence Day celebration in the USA, we're burning up the basement and helping you start your money revolution. In our headline, what about this idea of needing more than $1 million to retire? Let's revolt on that idea too. And in our TikTok minute, will children in the house ruin your financial picture? Let's revolt against kids. Wait, no, that's not the point. Okay, you want to go in that direction? Fine. Okay, I got it. In our TikTok minute, will children in the house ruin your financial picture? Let's revolt against the strict budget. Kids are kind of a pain, though. Plus, we'll answer a question from one stacker who's sick of what his friends think about his credit card habits. It's a full-on teardown of keeping up with the Joneses. And, of course, I'll share some hidden trivia. And now, two guys who are inexplicably dressed in drag today. It's Joe and OG. Ran out of breath.
Damn. We are... These are our uniforms.
So close.
I mean, just because we're in the powder wig, Doug, doesn't mean that we're not ready to bring it today. We're just dressed as revolutionary figures, burning down the house, so ready to help you start your money revolution. Hey, everybody, welcome to Wednesday, a big Wednesday on the Stacking Benjamin Show, because, OG, it is about time people got rid of the here and now, the same old, the status quo, and said, you know what? We got to unshackle ourselves from the British
again,
or our credit card debt, and get moving. No?
You can never trust the Brits when it comes to credit card debt. That's what kicked this whole thing off in the late 1700s.
They started it. That's what Doug always tells mom. They started it.
Have you guys seen that Allstate commercial with Mayhem where he's in the basement with his brother?
Yes.
And they're fighting.
They're playing like Nerf basketball.
They're both like 45. Yeah. His brother goes through. He's like, you wait until your dad finds out. The mom comes down. That's kind of how it is down here, isn't it? Mom comes down. She just shakes her head and goes, wait until your father finds out.
You're going to get it.
It's going to be tough. I remember that at my house. My parents did the spanking. So it was just remember it was a long time ago, people. And I remember
why is that a qualification?
I remember that
asking for a friend
nowadays. If you haven't heard, OG,
my brother knew he was going to get it, and my dad came home. When my dad came home, right, knew he was going to get it, so he's like, "I got to go to the bathroom." Goes to the bathroom, comes back out, and I remember he had to get across my dad's lap, and my dad goes to spank him, and his hand must have gone a full 2 inches into his bottom before he realized my brother had patted the crap out of that with toilet paper.
Oh, that was a commercial back then too. That was like Charmin or one of the commercials. They showed that. So your brother just totally ripped that idea off. In my house, we were scared of my mom. It was never, we were never, wait for your father to get home. It was mom you were worried about. And she was pretty much an activist, like an early, activist of lots of different causes. And she served on, I don't know how many child welfare and anti-child abuse kinds of boards. And oh boy.
Nothing stuck.
She had no qualms about various forms of
do as I say, not as I do.
Oh God. And when we got bigger, she would just look at us and use her finger to like make us come toward her. She would be just like, come here. And she'd squint at us and she'd be like, come here. And you'd walk super slowly. She would grab the short hair at the base of right at your base of your neck. She could walk you anywhere in the house with that. It was so painful.
What a pleasant woman to be around.
Sound like the nuns I had in Catholic school.
Oh yeah.
They would do all that stuff, man. Everybody, well, we're going to revolt from that too. Everybody's like, when are you going to get on with this? We're going to revolt from that too.
We
got a great show today.
For the win day.
That's right. But before all that, while we go get therapy, we would love to thank the sponsors who help keep this free. Of course, like every Stacking Benjamins episode, the second half will be completely sponsor free. But let's say thank you to them now. We've got some great sponsors. Here's a couple. In business, there is no room for guesswork. Every shipment matters. Every deadline counts. And when you're trying to keep operations running smoothly, the last thing you need is uncertainty. That's why reliability is at the core of USPS Ground Advantage. From the moment your package is first scanned in, it moves through a secure nationwide network, aiding in a timely and accurate delivery. You get near real-time tracking so you can keep up with your shipments. And with affordable upfront pricing, there are no hidden fees or surprise surcharges to throw off your cost sheets. It all adds up to predictable deliveries you can depend on, because knowing your logistics are handled lets you focus on everything else, your customers, your team, and the future you're building. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to start shipping with confidence. USPS Ground Advantage. We mean business. I had a breakfast mentoring meeting yesterday with a young woman who was just amazing. She is graduating from college with a degree in wealth management, and she reached out hoping for some pointers. And listen, if somebody's in Texarkana and wants to go into this beautiful field of personal finance and helping people get their money together, that is incredible. But even more incredible is how she reached out, how she was trying to network. And I was having a discussion that finding the right person and avoiding the wrong person for a role, that's what can make or break an organization. And we just don't see that many qualified people. So how do you find them? Well, Indeed Sponsored Jobs is a boost whenever you need to find quality talent. If you're hiring, Indeed is all you need. You can stop struggling to get your job post even seen on other sites. You'll match with quality candidates with Indeed's Sponsored Jobs. Get matched with and hire quality candidates who can drive the results you need. Reach candidates who meet your specific criteria like skills, certifications, or location. It drives me crazy when I'm matched with all kinds of people who aren't a fit. I don't have that kind of time. People are finding quality hires on Indeed right now. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. Sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed are 95% more likely to report a hire than non-sponsored jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all the boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Job. And here's what's cool, Stackers. You're going to get $75 in sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support Stacking Benjamins by saying you heard about Indeed right here at Stacking Benjamins. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed. We're having a revolution in the basement, so let's get started.
Hello, darlings. And now it's time for your favorite part of the show, our Stacking Benjamins headlines.
Our headline today comes to us from USA Today. This is a piece written by Daniel Device. There's the little
it's
accent
Device.
over the E. Device.
Right.
Daniel
Device, I
Device.
think.
Nice job. Daniel, man, here's a revolution. All these things, OG, that say that you need, 25x, whatever you spend today to retire, the popular financial independence movement number, 25x. We got to have that. Or have a 4% withdrawal rate, or, maybe even higher, lower based on some recent numbers that have come out. But Daniel writes, if you want to retire in comfort, investment firms headline news will tell you may need $1 million or more in the bank just to start to get on the map. Well, listen to this revolution. Maybe not. One prominent economist says you can retire for a lot less, $50,000 to $100,000 in total savings. He points to the experiences of actual retirees as evidence. This is Andrew Biggs, senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute think tank, and he published this in April back in the Wall Street Journal. We need to revolt from saving money, OG.
Hold on. So this guy looked at average retirees and went, well, based on what they do, we only need 50 grand.
Right. Look at all the people that have done it.
I mean, how do you say this without being like a total like pompous? Yeah, I could live on 50 grand. Oh, he's saying total 50 total.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, 50,000 in savings total.
Oh yeah. I could live on Social Security. I'm going to really choose not to.
I think that's what it is. So he referenced a survey of household economics and decision-making between 2019 and 2022. And they asked retirement age Americans 65 to 74, how well they're managing. So these are people who are already retired, or mostly retired. How you doing? And 85% of them are like, we're doing okay. And I think they are. Good. I think they're living off of Social Security, and they just have a little bit of a cushion, the 50 to 100K. And
I need to get out of here. If I can pull the ripcord on Social Security income only, I am done. Deuces, everybody.
OG's like, I'm out of here. Revolution over. We won.
You win.
Yes.
Off we go. Yeah, I would venture to say that most people do not look at the average retiree and go, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
The average, by the way, the average retired couple in 2022 pulled in $46K in Social Security benefits. A couple.
There is a silver lining here, OG, to this revolution, which is, I think the good news here is there's that phrase, wherever you go, there you are. If you don't save a ton of money, like the average person, this myth that you will completely run out of money. I don't know about you. I've never seen it happen. You will take the little bit that you have and you will slowly meet it out. And maybe from time to time, people don't make it all the way. But I think for the average person, that is a myth. But I think to your point, do we really want to revolt on these numbers that financial planners talk about? Is that really what we want for ourselves?
Well, again, like you said, I think when it comes to real life case studies, the cycle of spending is not linear. You don't retire and spend the exact same dollar amounts every single year, plus a little inflation adjusted for the next 30 years of retirement. There's ups and downs, and there's big spending years and lower spending years. And certainly as you get older, your spending changes and probably lowers to the point where you're not traveling as much, or you've downsized the house, or, whatever the case may be. There's some obvious expenses around medical and that sort of thing. But at some level, this is kind of why some of these programs were established in the first place, was to kind of help account for what is the bare minimum that we can do to at least, put shelter around you and put food on the table. I don't think anybody's under the illusion that making 40 or 50 grand a year of Social Security income is this fantastic lifestyle, and I'm going to jet set across the country and stay at Four Seasons all the time. But to your point, if you're late in the game, you don't have to worry about trying to get to that bigger number. And what I think is that even if you're late to the game, you still have time. A lot of people might feel frustrated if they get to 50 or 55 and say, well, geez, I only have 10 years before I retire. Well, first of all, you don't, unless you're in a airplane pilot or something, you don't have to retire at 65. You could work till 67 or 70 or whatever. So there's some flexibility there potentially. But if you put your mind to it, you still have 15 years or 10 years or 8 years or some amount of time to allocate some savings. if you really feel passionate about it, or don't. I mean, I guess this guy's like, yeah, get out of there with 50 grand. You'll be all right. I don't know. People take solace in that. At least it'll be okay.
I think the key word here is the word need. When he said you don't need,
well,
and that should give
needs relative.
That should give everybody, to your point, OG, people that are starting late, you know what? I'm going to do what I can. And it takes this thing that people feel a lot of stress around. They feel a lot of discomfort around. They go, you know what? You can only do what you can do. Bust your ass, do what you can do. You can't go back and make up for those years. You shouldn't feel the guilt around it, but do what you can do. And every day is going to be a little better than it was before. I mean, who wants to only have $50,000 to last your next 30 years?
I had a client that I inherited, is a great way to put it. We had an advisor. This was many years ago when I was at American Express. We had an advisor who was selling his business, and he and his family were moving across the country. So I and another advisor bought this person's client base, his practice, right? And started working with the clients, and we had this transition time. And I got to be really good friends with one of the clients. And this guy had retired in his late 40s, early 50s in like 2001, maybe 2001, with about $1 million in assets. So you kind of back up the timeline. He had been accumulating money through the mid 80s into the 90s, and then got to his 50th birthday, let's say in the year 2000, and had accumulated, a pretty good amount, $1 million or something. But his advisor it was different planning back then. So I don't want to throw a lot of shade there, but they basically ran the assumption of, we're making 10% a year. You can live on 10% a year. Right. So we're making 100 grand a year in your portfolio. You can live on 100 grand.
It's almost as good as Dave Ramsey math.
Well, true. And of
Actually,
course,
it's
now we
better
know
than Dave Ramsey math. Dave Ramsey said 8% recently, didn't he? This was 8%. Hey, it's math. It's 8%.
Yeah, it's just math. So you can see where this goes, right? The economy maybe slows down, the market goes down, you take some money out, the market goes down, you take some money out, and all of a sudden, you're just kind of behind the curve. And we made some adjustments. We started working with him maybe in 2008, 2009, like perfect time, to work with a new advisor.
Oh boy.
Anyway, fast forward to about a year ago. Now he's mid 70s probably, and he has about $50,000 in his account. So he'd spent, whatever. And we were talking, and I said, I don't know that there's a lot that I would do differently at this point. You should have the money safe and secure. We know you're going to spend it. There's not a lot of, moving things around at this point. We need to protect what you have, and so on and so forth. And we were talking a little bit, and he says, you know what? I don't think I would do it any differently. Because I've spent a lot of time thinking about this. Like, I wish I would have I wish I would have worked another 10 years, maybe gone from $1 million of savings to $2 million of savings. And then, maybe my life would turn out differently, or maybe my retirement time would. And he goes, the more I thought about it, I retired when I was in my late 40s. Because I hung out with my kids when they were in their 20s. I hung out with my grandkids when they were born. I was around my grandkids all the way until they're now in their 20s. He's like, this was like a great 20-year period of my life that I wouldn't trade for the world. Yeah, now I look at it and go, I wish I'd have a little more money. He goes, I got Social Security, I got a little pension, I have 50 grand in the bank, got my house is paid for, I live by the beach.
It's good.
I did all the cool stuff.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad that I made this decision. And I remember thinking about that. This conversation maybe happened a year or more ago. And I was thinking about that some time ago. Like, we are all in charge of how we process the information. Like, if we decide that was a screwy situation and we screwed up and life threw a curveball and I got hosed in the deal and all that sort of stuff, then that's exactly what happened. You got screwed and you got hosed. Versus he looked at it from the perspective of, in a really decent part of my life where I was in really good health and I was still able to do a bunch of stuff, I got to hang out with my kids and grandkids full time. Like, that's all I did.
So great. So
from 50 to 70. He goes, yep, now I'm 75. Yeah. Do I wish I had a whole bunch of money? Sure. But it doesn't bother me that I live my retirement kind of in the middle, which I thought was really kind of a cool way to look at it. Definitely from a math standpoint, I'm sure he wishes, and in retrospect, we can look at it and go, would have been nice to have a different outcome there. But he lived the life he wanted, or is living the life he wanted.
It's great to have the glass half full attitude. It's funny you bring that up, because a little further down in the article, Joe, there's even a whole section that says you don't want to say you really screwed up. So the question is, how come only 15% of seniors said that they were struggling? It's because most people don't want to admit they may have maybe they could have worked harder, or maybe they made some bad choices, or, didn't save enough, or whatever. And it's because we all have a certain amount of pride. There's nothing wrong with that. And you probably could work, live, if your house is paid off in the example you gave, and maybe your cars are paid off, you're on Medicaid or Medicare, $3,800 a month for a couple is probably pretty doable.
I want to go back to Monday's mentor discussion with Douglas Soy, when he said, the hardest thing, I love this quote from Douglas, for people to think about is the idea of enough. And OG, it sounds like he's like, yeah, I had enough. Would I maybe have wanted more money? Yeah, okay, maybe. But as is, it is enough. And I think that take on life is fantastic. But I also think if we look at why you would want to have what financial planners talk about, either the enough to withdraw 4%-ish or 25x or whatever your number ends up being that fits your goal, I think it's much more about freedom from worry. At that point, it's not about need, right? The key word here is need. You don't need to have $1.5 million. But if you have $1.5 million, you got another 30 years. I don't have to worry about what happens if I have a catastrophic healthcare issue. And I might worry about it a little, but I don't have to worry about it like I do if I have $50,000 in the bank. I don't have to worry about whether I want to do something. My kids decide to take this trip and I want to go with them. I don't have to say, well, I can't go with them. I've got family members that are older, and I look at two specific groups of family members. One couple in my family who's older, they never have to think about anything. I mean, they just go do what they want to do. And they are not extravagant people. They certainly, if something was a bajillion bucks, they would say no because it wouldn't be responsible with the money they have. But I have another couple that's in my family that's older on a fixed income that have to make some serious decisions about whether they attend family events or not. Because while they certainly don't need more money, they have to be careful with every dime or they're not going to make it.
There's definitely the balancing act between, one of the things you said was need, I don't need anymore, but I'm good. And that's always the interesting thing, especially as we're starting to save money, starting to invest, and that snowball starts happening. And Charlie Munger famously said the hardest thing to do is to save the first 100K. And then after that, it's all gravy. And if you do the math on it, I should probably do it to just fact check this, but I've read if you're saving $1,000 a month, it takes the same amount of time to get to 300K as it does to get to $1 million. Right. So when you get to 300K, you're halfway to $1 million because of the compounding. We see a lot of people who are peak earning years, peak savings, and still are going, should I save more? Should I save more? Maybe I shouldn't do that thing. Should I? It's like that balancing act of being responsible and a good steward of the money that that you're at, wherever you are, being a good steward of where you are, but then also going, I'm good, man. I don't have to stress about this. Is there a difference between having 10 million in the bank and 2 million in the bank? Yeah, there's a big difference. Is there a big difference in terms of like lifestyle, real life lifestyle? I'm not sure. I don't know if there is. You're definitely, I saw this somewhat related. I saw this thing from Grant Cardone. I know he's probably one of you. Joe, isn't he your favorite TikTok guy? Grant Cardone.
I love following Grant Cardone though. Just the cojones on everything that guy does. I'm amazing. And let me tell you how.
Yeah. So he was talking to Graham Stephan. Do you know him on YouTube?
Yeah, certainly.
Everybody's doing this round robin thing lately.
Incestuous stuff.
Yeah. Somehow I don't get to talk to Graham Stephan or Grant Cardone. But anyways, so they were having this sit down and Grant Cardone was going through his balance sheet and his budget. And he goes, so you've got 10 million. He goes, yeah, I've got 10 million invested. He's like, just invested in stocks. He's like, yeah, just ETFs, whatever. He goes, yeah, that's not anywhere near enough. He's like, dude, you're still flying American. He's like, you might be flying first class, but you're still flying American.
Cardone said that to Stephan.
Yeah. Like $10 million. You're nothing, bro. And it reeks of Susie Orman's, you can't retire unless you have 5 million conversations. Like, all right, I get it, man. Like there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do when you have 100 million in the bank that you can't do when you have 10. I understand that completely.
But all the keeping up with the Joneses that's in that statement is just,
I know. I mean, look, flying private's fun. There's no joke about it, but flying American's fine too. They're a lot safer than I am.
And at least you're going somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the
You're
day,
not
it's
sitting
like,
on your AstroTurf lawn.
yeah, I mean, you got to be careful when you see all this stuff because at the end of the day, like, there's always a bigger fish. There's always more. I had a midlife crisis time when I was in my 40s. When I turned 40, I bought a sports car, and my brother was like, Steak brother goes, dude, you have to get like a cool license plate, like EFFYOU. Like, yeah, bro. Look at my car. And I was like, it's a $40,000 Porsche. That's not even like the top end Porsche. So no, I probably better not, And my minivan's worth more money than this.
It's probably faster.
No, it wasn't. But, like that was kind of his attitude. And I said, no, you can't do that because first of all, it's gross. But secondly, it's like, there's always somebody that has like there's a bigger toy out there. And quite literally until you're freaking the guy who owns Louis Vuitton or Elon Musk or whoever's number one right now, there's always going to be somebody that has more than
The dude with the Diablo pulls up next to you and goes, oh, how cute.
No joke. That happened. So we were sitting at a stoplight near our house and I look and next to me was a Ferrari and across the way was a convertible Bentley. And I'm like, well, there you go. Like, look at how much of a dork I would have felt like if I had a middle finger, license plate or bro, look at my cool, used car that I bought.
Testicles hanging from the rear view.
Yeah, exactly. No, that you hang that, isn't that the truck people hang those from their little
It is,
Ford logo?
but
Yes.
your car didn't have a trailer hitch, so I thought ahead and I realized where else would OG hang them?
Yeah,
From the rear
from the
view.
spoiler.
The huge wing on the back.
Exactly. The downforce is unbelievable at 60 miles an hour on the highway, guys. Trust me, it's sick. But I think what you said there earlier, Joe, about just be where you are is a good thing.
And I think, OG, to your point, that's where the revolution, I think, really then begins. This is why we spent so much time the past 13 years talking about beginning with your goals. Let's revolt from what Grant Cardone says. Let's revolt from what the neighbor's doing. Let's revolt from this idea that I have to be more, like Doug Soy said, is the big problem that many of us have. And begin with, you know what? Here's the things that I want. Begin with that. Figure out what that takes. It's not about need, like this piece. It's about how do I just live my best life? All this idea of a revolution, though, I think there's a ton here, but I think we have to go back to the original revolution before we swing this over to Doug. And remember, again, like we do on most holidays, if this too had been different, we talk about $1.5 million being different than what most people have. Well, what if the British had actually won? And British comedian Stephen Merchant has contemplated that. Let's listen to how the USA could have been, in his estimation, a little better.
Oh, happy 4th of July, America. Ready to fire up the grill and celebrate our victory over the Brits? Well, I'm not, because despite that incredibly convincing American accent, I'm one of those Brits. Now, I've acted in film and TV for years, but my greatest performance is acting like I don't care that every summer you gobble down tube sausages and celebrate kicking our arses, or butts, as you say, incorrectly. Do you really still have to celebrate your emancipation from us? I mean, that's like your girlfriend breaking up with you and then celebrating with fireworks. Every year. For 300 years. It gets my goat. But what really gets my goat is imagining how great America would be if we were still in charge. Oh, America, if we'd won the war, you'd have better comedy, news, TV programs, and way better rude words. Oh, I'm talking fanny, trollop, minger, tart, minge bag, bleeding, sodding, blooming, cocked up, get stuffed, and of course, wanker. Imagine how sophisticated you'd sound when you're insulting someone. Oi, Brad, your wife's a slag! Now piss off, you wanker! See how classy that sounded? With our accents and your American self-confidence, you'd be unstoppable. Yeah, you'd have to pay a few more taxes, but you can't put a price on that. Great Britain, too, would be the greatest country on earth. Your lawyers would all wear powdered wigs, so criminals really respect them, and you'd have all the mushy peas you can stuff down your bloody great gobs. Oh, and if you get sick, you don't need to worry about medical insurance, because with the National Health Service, a doctor will see you for free in about 2 years. Plus, your taxes would be spent on things you really need, like a royal family who do the tough jobs no one else wants to do, like being driven around in a really nice car while waving. You'll want to eat some apple pie, then shoot some hoops and have a hoedown? F***ing bollocks.
Tube sausages. I love that.
Coming up in the second half of this show, we've got our TikTok minute. We've got a cry for help from somebody that said, you know what, I better call Saul, Sehy and OG. And somebody, by the way, speaking about keeping up with the Joneses, they're sick of that. We are throwing off all those money things we thought were important on today's Revolution episode, but we've got some revolutionary history with Uncle Doug, I think.
Uncle Doug. Hey there, stackers. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. Okay, it is my turn to light this money revolution fire. You want a cool revolution story? Of course you do. Gather around, as old Uncle Doug's about to regale you. All right, picture this. During the Revolutionary War, around the time Joe was learning to ride a bike, a handful of women entered the conflict as soldiers on the side of the Continental Army. Fighting undercover, they helped lead what would later become the United States to victory. This reminds me so much of how I once went undercover as an average guy to see how the other half lives. Gotta say, it's pretty rough out there for men that aren't as charming or as good looking as I am. I feel for you, boys. I really feel sorry for you. Thoughts and prayers. Of the women who joined the war effort while disguised as men, the most prominent was Deborah Sampson, who fought under the name Robert Shirtliff. That was the name she picked. Her real identity was discovered in 1783 after she had already spent 2 years in battle to great success. It was only after she was hospitalized that she was honorably discharged. Personally, I would have kept fighting, but very few people are as tough as I am. I once played an entire game of flag football with a cramped earlobe. I knew it was risking my health out there, but I couldn't abandon my team in a time of need. Well, here's today's trivia question. Deborah Sampson was denied a pension, even though she fought in the war, because she'd pretended to be someone else until who successfully petitioned Congress to give her a soldier's pension. I'll be back with the rest of the story right after I find my Letterman jacket. I'm going to go start lending it out to less good-looking guys to help them build their self-esteem. Such a selfless guy.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why drivers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
What would you do if your online store converted 36% more shoppers? You could take 36% more vacation.
Another pina colada?
Yes, please. Open a new retail location with 36% more square feet.
Fantastic.
Hire 36% more help.
You're hired and you're hired.
Shopify has the world's best converting checkout, up to 36% better than other e-commerce platforms. What you do with those extra sales is up to you. Switch to Shopify today at shopify.com/listen and get a $1 trial. Shopify.com/listen.
Did you know Fast Growing Trees is America's largest and most trusted online nursery with thousands of trees and plants and over 2 million happy customers? Whether you're planting fruit trees, adding privacy, brightening things up with flowers, or bringing in houseplants, Fast Growing Trees has it all. Even better, they can help you find options that are right for your climate, your space, and lifestyle. Click Order Grow. Every plant arrives healthy with the Alive and Thrive guarantee straight to your door. So if you're ready to get planting, this is the moment. Right now, they have great deals on spring planting essentials, up to half off on select plants. And listeners to our show get 20% off their first purchase when using the code WWO at checkout. That's an additional 20% off. Better plants and better growing at fastgrowingtrees.com using the code WWO at checkout. Fastgrowingtrees.com, code WWO. Now's the perfect time to plant. Let's grow together. Use WWO to save today. Offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions apply. Go to growingfasttrees.com for details.
Hey there, stackers. I'm national hero and Texarkana's most resilient athlete, Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. Here's the end of Uncle Doug's Revolutionary War story. Over a decade after the Revolutionary War ended, Deborah Sampson, a.k.a. Robert Shirtliff, wrote a memoir about her time serving in the military and traveled around the country on a book tour. That must have taken her, 6 days on foot? Today's trivia question is, Deborah Sampson only received the soldier's pension after who petitioned Congress? The answer? Considering it was over 100 years before American women were granted the right to vote, it's no surprise that Deborah Sampson was unable to secure a soldier's pension for herself without a little help. Irony of all ironies, it was none other than her husband, Mr. Deborah Sampson, who successfully secured her right to a soldier's pension. In a way, I guess they might have been the first gay marriage? Probably? Yeah, sounds right. And now, back to Joe and OG.
What could have been? Hey, time for us to move on to the second half of the show and time for our TikTok Minute. This is the part of the show where we shine a light, OG, on a TikTok creator who is either doing something brilliant or air quotes brilliant. Do you think that today's revolution is brilliant? No. He put his thumbs down for people not hanging out with us on video, and
storm clouds.
The storm clouds came. Yeah. Well, you know what? We've got a revolt against the budget, everybody, because, well, this is, I don't know about you guys. You both have kids. This was life at my house when my kids were younger.
What are you doing?
Eating blueberries.
Eating blueberries?
Ooh.
Do you not realize our child pounds a whole pack of blueberries every single day?
Okay, I was just...
Pooja, our monthly blueberry bill exceeds our phone bill month after month.
Ooh.
So if you want a snack, have a cracker.
Stacker Annette sent that to me about the family blueberry budget. I don't know about your houses. My kids pounded blueberries, and I was like, we got to wean them off of this stuff. Like, the blueberry budget was obscene at my house.
At your house?
What do you mean at my house?
My bad.
Why do you think my kid wouldn't like blueberries? Are you saying my kids don't appreciate blueberries? Don't appreciate the fact that it's the most expensive thing in the...
You come from a blueberry, you're like the king of the blueberry industry, weren't you, in Western Michigan?
Well, you know what? My grandparents should have held on to that damn farm.
Shouldn't you have gotten free access to blueberries?
I know, but they sold the farm and they got rid of all the blueberries. People that don't know, my family in West Michigan were called the blueberry people when I was growing up because we had this huge blueberry farm. By the way, I wish every time I go to even now, my kids are gone and Cheryl's like, we're going through, we're in the vegetable and fruit area and she grabs the blueberries and I'm like, I didn't want to refinance my house. It's like, why don't you go get the morel mushrooms too while we're at it?
You get like 4 tablespoons of blueberries for $12.
Yes. So I love how the spouse in Annette's video here that she sent us, by the way, thanks Annette for sending this to us. The spouse is like, I can have blueberries too. No. You get a cracker. The blueberries are only for the kids.
It's the raspberries that get you.
Yeah, those are the same. Yeah.
What do you do, OG? Do you tell the kids no so that you can have a raspberry, or do you let them have it and you have the cracker?
I can't play this game. Eat whatever the I want. Whatever
you go with both.
Yeah.
I want raspberries. But I buy raspberries. When I have blueberries, I buy blueberries.
So what do you do if you find out that somebody else has eaten them? Do you go into a rage?
Yes.
I don't care.
God, because that would happen, Doug, at my house nonstop. We would bring home blueberries and I'm like, okay, we got the extra big one. I would go downstairs the next day for breakfast. I'm going to put some on my cereal. Nope. My kid has decided that the entire 16-quart area somehow between midnight and 6 a.m. found its way to his gullet.
Growing kids, I guess.
He figured you didn't need them, Dad. You're trying to lose some weight.
That's right.
It's not quite blueberries, but I take my grapes, I squish them up, and then I add a little bit of sugar to them, and then I put them in little glass bottles, and then I let it sit for a while, and then I just drink it. It's like way better.
And after a few months of doing that back in the 80s, when he was 14, OG decided, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and delegate that responsibility to Camus.
Exactly.
OG's making prison wine in his toilet. Rubbing alcohol and Kool-Aid.
Can you see OG tell Mrs. OG, no. The crushed up grapes are for me and the kids. You get a cracker.
Yeah.
Thanks to Annette. Let's burn that down. Enough blueberries for everybody, OG says. Who cares about the budget?
Who cares?
Blueberries for all. Happy Independence Day, America.
Blueberries for everyone.
All right, let's transition from that fun into this time to now shine a light on a stacker that said, you know what? I better call Saul. Sehy and OG. This is when we take a call from a stacker who has a question that maybe you have. If you've got a question like today's question, which I think a lot of people are thinking about, or another question, stackingbenjamins.com/voicemail, and we're happy to play it on the show and answer your question for everybody that I know a lot of people have. This question right here, OG, we were talking about earlier about keeping up with the Joneses. This gentleman is worried about, well, he wants to revolt from what the neighbors think. Let's listen in.
Hey, Joe and OG. This is Dave from Tennessee. First-time caller, long-time listener. I talk a lot about guys in their basement, but I love what you two guys do down there. Okay, here's a serious question. Several years ago, I swore off credit cards after I plumb messed up some real estate transactions. And I became gazelle intense on paying those suckers off. But now, I'm looking at all these darned award programs they're offering. Southwest Airlines will carry another passenger for free? You gotta be freaking kidding me. Who thinks up this shit? And I said to the missus, how are we not doing this? I want to ask some of my friends. My daughter's pretty smart, and my buddy Chris, he's all right. But if they thought for a second I was even considering this after what I told other friends, I'm pretty sure they'd hog-tie me. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Dave. Dave sounds familiar.
Buddy Chris, huh?
But maybe not his buddy anymore. Do you think they still hang out after Davey's done with work?
Maybe.
What do? You've sworn off credit cards. The neighbors think that you don't like credit cards, but you see these reward points, OG. What do you do?
I paid for a lot of flights and a lot of hotel stays on points. So I say YOLO. YOLO.
Dave, go for it.
Do it, bro. Do it. I'll tell you, I've got one thing. So I was just talking about this the other day. I have 2 opportunities next week and the week after to use some Marriott points to buy a package deal to go see Taylor Swift. I can't say it out loud because my daughter's around.
Oh, yeah.
It's an insane amount of Marriott points, but the thing launches, and if you're just, it's like, if you're fast enough, basically you have to like go online and do it, and you can do it. And my wife and I were talking about this. She's like, well, I mean, how much is it? And I told her, and she's like, how many points do you have? I'm like, 3 times that. She's like, we're going. You can use it for good. You just don't pay interest. Interest sucks. Interest at all levels suck. Doug and I were just having a conversation about paying off a house, even though you have low interest, right? You have 3% mortgage, and I'm not throwing your stuff in the wind here. It's cool to tell everybody you paid your house off, right?
Yeah.
Get a mortgage with low interest. Why'd you do it?
Got to a point we were close enough to paying it off and had that amount in liquid savings, and just thought, man, it'll feel awfully nice to know that that is free and clear, and it doesn't matter how badly I screw up, because we all know that's coming, that you can't take the house away. And just that sense of security beat out the math. And you can put the math on paper all you want, but
interest sucks.
Interest sucks. Just knowing that I'm paying that much for the use of those funds, and I had the amount I needed to pay it off.
Had the money. Yeah, had the money set aside anyway. So
Well, and that's the deal too, guys, with these reward programs. I mean, we're laughing about Dave loving the Southwest Companion Pass numbers and other reward points.
Yeah, you gotta spend $100,000 or whatever it is to qualify.
Do not go into debt to get the reward point. That is what they want you to do. They don't care what you do.
That's how they get you.
But it seriously is how they get you. They don't care what you do, but they are more than happy to help you accumulate a lot of credit card debt so you get a few reward points. which will never amount to the amount of interest you're going to pay.
No, not even
them.
close.
Yeah.
Not even close.
Use the
But
reward
there are
points.
a lot of websites out there to help kind of facilitate this. But I do believe for responsible people, if you've got something on the horizon, like if you're looking, we're trying to do maybe a nice trip next summer, maybe go to Europe with the kids or something, costs a lot of money. There's a lot of airfare. And so you start looking at that and you go, well, wait a second. If I fly on American, I could do that with X number of points. Oh, look, they have a credit card offer here that'll give me a Y number of points for getting it and spending $3,000 a month for the first 3 months. Like if that fits and you can time it out and you can make it so that you don't pay any interest, like you said, or that you're really, really pay attention to it. There's ways to kind of game that system a little bit. But like you said, Joe, if you spend 1 month of interest, you could have flown Southwest for 2 years with the interest that you pay the bank, so make sure you do it responsibly.
You're still flying American, bro?
I know. I haven't made it yet.
For me, it's funny. Last year at Camp Phi, Texas, Camp Phi, for people that don't know, these great camps our friend Stephen Boyer has all over the country. I'll be at Camp Phi Midwest over Labor Day with my son, Nick. We'll be talking about his 14 rental houses with the group there. But I went to the credit card maximization piece, and this is really cool. They kind of crowdsource, like, hey, what are you guys all good at? And they put it up on the board. And after all the speakers are done, we just have these small groups that are more discussions. But a lot of people wanted to talk about credit card maximizing the point programs. I went to this one, and I've always been kind of half in, half out. But what I learned was that Hyatt, as an example, Hyatt has the best reward program among all of the major hotel chains, that you accumulate your hotel stays faster with Hyatt than with anything else. I have the Marriott point program, which I also found out was the worst one. You accumulate more slowly. And then I also found out that Southwest Airlines, with their companion pass, is also the most generous, if you're flying inside the United States, the most generous program for airline miles. We don't have Southwest. I have American, which I also found out is the least generous of the program. So Cheryl and I have had several discussions about this. And Cheryl said this: number one is we're traveling more and more internationally. Hyatt doesn't have that many places internationally where I'm going to spend those points. And some of the places we like to stay, to your point, OG, are these cool boutique hotels internationally that are in the middle of downtown that are quirky. They're not like your average corporate hotel. It's a pretty neat place. Hyatt doesn't have that. So it's funny. Sometimes I can look at what's the maximum that I can get, or I can look at what really fits my life.
Yeah. And a 2% cash back would be way better for you than getting a bunch of points on Southwest, because you'll never use it.
Yeah. I'm never on a Southwest
It's funny
plane.
that you say Marriott sucks, because that's all we use is Marriott. And I love Hyatt hotels too, but everything that we have is tied to Marriott. So I have no problem accumulating points on Marriott, and no problem, with the hotel
I haven't had
stays.
any problem. Listen, I haven't had any problem, but when they said I could go even faster, I'm like, oh heck. And then I started looking at the issue with Hyatt is it's a wonderful hotel chain. I stayed there at a recent conference I went to, but just, they're not in every city.
Yeah. It's a little smaller. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to do what fits you, but by all means, avoid the interest like Doug has on his mortgage. So
interest sucks.
Congratulations, man. There's a revolution right there. Burning the mortgage papers. You're going to burn the old mortgage papers?
You know what?
Take that file.
You don't get to do that anymore. You get nothing nowadays. When you pay off your house, you get no cool certificate of authenticity like when you buy the Civil War figurines. You get nothing.
Well,
I mean, so I've heard.
You did get something. Hopefully you kept it. You get a letter that says it's paid off, and you're supposed to send that to the city. So hopefully you did get something.
Nope, we did not get that. They send that for you.
Oh.
They do it for you. The mortgage company did it.
I would print off 2 copies, one for your records, or wherever you store your documents, and the other one I would take and I would burn, just
light it on
ceremonially.
fire.
Absolutely.
Just go down to the courthouse, that and a flag, and just.
What are you talking about?
No, nobody will question at all. Lighting fire to documents in front of the courthouse always goes over well.
What day of the year should I do that on, OG?
We double dog dare you.
No. No, I got nothing. I was disappointed. I even
With the
called the
camera that
mortgage
says,
company.
I'm recording you. I'm recording you.
I said, don't I get the cool piece of paper that I can, have the ceremony? Like, nope, we don't do it. We send a thing off to the city, say it's done. If you need a copy at a later date, call us. We can get it for you. But nobody gives those out anymore. You don't get your title. It's weird.
Well, next week, we are going to, by the way, we casually moseyed into what we call the back porch segment. I think we've been there for half the show today. The back porch is where we talk about all kinds of tangential things that light us up and light our stackers up. I got to tell you this, we're going to be spending a lot of time with family members next week. And the reason we're bringing this all up this week is next week is our greatest hits week. So we're going 5 days next week instead of 3. You get us every day. And we've got a lot of fun episodes planned, some of the best of the best of the best. So hang out with us then. But this week, I want people to think about OG and Doug. I want them to think about while you're spending time with family, well, you should just remember this about us.
So here's the thing. Pick a guy that's easygoing and one that you like, because you can't change them. I don't know if anybody's ever told you that, but they're going to stay the way you meet them for their whole life. And in fact, they might even get worse. And people get upset with me. They go, don't say that, Monique. And I'm going to say it 3 times for each one of my failed marriages, okay? You can't change a man. You can't change a man. You can't change a man. Why? Because they're in their simplest form. It's like bending a rock, okay? Element 119 on the elemental table, man. All right? I'm going to tell you some things. And the men are not upset. Look, he's applauding. This guy's happy. He's like, thank you. If you operate under the premise that men are simple and delusional and women are crazy and complicated, your life gets instantly good. Okay?
Women are crazy and complicated. Men are simple. Remember, we're going to gravitate toward the grill. We may over-grill all the shit on 4th of July. We may. OG won't.
Who does that?
I might.
OG won't.
I don't know, but I'm in.
Sacrilegious.
Either way, I'm in charge.
I will.
No matter what, I'm in charge.
Gonna overcook the food?
Well, it's not overcooked because I made it that way on purpose, which is what I'm going to tell you to your face.
OG, we talked about this a couple of episodes ago. Joe and I made the turning point, the fork. We hit the fork in the road and we went historical and you went to the meats. You're good at that. That's your thing. It's not my thing. I'm not a great griller, but I have no problem being labeled as simplistic.
I felt seen. I totally felt seen.
Absolutely.
This is me. I'm sorry.
It's kind of my middle name, really. Simple, salt of the earth.
Just straightforward.
It's you.
That's that Jim Gaffigan bit.
Just beat Lunchbox. Just work-a-day Joe, you
Dougie's
are.
driving around town in the Porsche with the balls hanging off the spoiler on the back. Salt of the earth guy.
Presents are interesting. I don't really need or want anything. I mean, my life is pretty chaotic. I have 5 kids, and I have friends that love stuff. I have a friend who has a drawer of watches. I have another friend who has 5 cars. Whenever I'm with these people, I realize I'm just simple. All I need is a nice bed and a private jet, Now, I have the bed. All I need is the jet. And it could be a used jet. I'm not a snob, I mean, I don't want a prop plane. I'm not trash. Just a regular old private jet to take a regular old guy to a regular old private island away from his kids. I'm just salt of the earth. I'm an everyman.
Wow, we played right into his hand there.
Jim Gaffigan may be your brother.
That's your people.
It's my identical twin.
Coming up on Friday.
Spirit animal.
Our roundtable, we're joined by Brian Feraldi. And Brian is going to add to this how to invest like a 50-year-old woman. We're going to talk about that. A recent post that we found on the White Coat Investor talked about this. And Brian is an ace teaching people on the internet about investing. And so we thought this would be a great way to finish off these 8 weeks. But thanks for joining us on our revolutionary celebration this fine Wednesday. If you know somebody that needs to hear this, that needs the confidence to say, you know what, maybe you don't need over $1 million, but maybe you should be saving toward that anyway. And all the rest we talked about today, please pass this on to a friend. The last thing we do with our friends, you, is remind you what you should have learned today. And Doug, I think you've compiled a top 3.
Got it right here, Joe. Here's what you need to do based on what we talked about today. First, take some advice from our headline. $1 million? Yeah, you can revolt around that idea, and you might be right, but who wants to live that life? Second, take some advice from our TikTok Minute. Blueberries are awesome. And if that's your jam, of course, you want to build a moat around them in your budget so they're protected. But the biggest to-do? Never ask Joe's mom to pull a Deborah Sampson on the dating scene and to dress as you for a day to see which of you gets more dates. I think she's too scared of losing to even compete. She just doesn't even want to go there. She's so scared.
This show is the property of SB Podcasts, LLC, copyright 2024, and is created by Joe Saul Sehy. Joe gets help from a few of our neighborhood friends. You'll find out about our awesome team at stackingbenjamins.com, along with the show notes and how you can find us on YouTube and all the usual social media spots. Come say hello. Oh yeah, and before I go, not only should you not take advice from these nerds, don't take advice from people you don't know. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Before making any financial decisions, speak with a real financial advisor. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and we'll see you next time back here at the Stacking Benjamin Show.